Hey, welcome back to Hillbilly Garage. Wanted to jump in with you and bring you on up to speed. I know it looks a little bit different than the last time we talked. Hold on, I'll be right back. But I wanted to give you all an update. As you can see, I went ahead and I put the front timing chain cover on. It's really not that difficult. There's a couple of alignment pins that the cover sets on. They're right here and here. You just slide it straight up. Your crankshaft horn will come through. Use your top bolt right here to hang it. And then you it's every other bolt basically if you don't take your water pump off. And again, like we said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's got a rubber seal behind it, so you just make sure you bring all your bolts up kind of even. They torque to 21 foot-pounds, and it'll set that gasket up, and it works really good. The only thing that
What is that?
I regret not showing you, this is oil pump. This is a factory oil pump. This is the one that was on this truck when we bought it. And behind this cover right here is where this bolts around your bottom timing chain gear, which is also your oil pump drive. You can see in here, this impeller here has got grooves, and they line up on that. And all you do is there's 4 bosses under there, easy to line up. The only thing you have to do is sometimes you have to fiddle with that middle impeller to get it to line up with your gear, and then it'll slide straight on. 4 bolts holds it in place. No gaskets. Just make sure that your mating surface here, this is where the oil flows, and then the matching one on the inside, just make sure that they're clean and there's no debris, no anything. Put your 4 bolts on, and they torque to 21 foot-pound, I believe it was. Always check your specs yourself though. Look it up. Actually, Summit Racing has got an excellent sheet or PDF, whatever it is, that you can download. We just screenshot it, saved it to our phone. But I will tell you, I'm going to get me a laminated poster, blow it up. I'm going to hang it somewhere big enough for my old eyes to be able to see it, so I won't have to be writing them all over the wall. But anyway, just wanted to go ahead and show you all that. Like I said, that's the pump that was on this machine when I bought it. And we upgraded to the Hellcat. So pretty straightforward. Like I said, you just use your alignment dials on either side, put all your bolts in, and they torque to 21 foot-pound. I went ahead and I hung the oil cooler where our block-off plate was. You can notice the barb fitting right there. And it's just got 3 small bolts that holds it in place. And I went ahead and threw the engine mounts on. Okay, so that kind of brings you up to speed. But this is the interesting part. I thought this, and I hung the oil pan. But what I wanted to share with you is during all of my studying, because even though I've been a mechanic most of my life, these particular 3rd gen Hemis, I was kind of new to them. I know they have a lot of similarities with a lot of different engines, but they do have some peculiarities that they don't seem to share with other engines. And this is not peculiar to them, but while I was studying, what I read, what I found out, and I think, and any of y'all that may know, correct me on this, but I think it's a little bit of old school thinking that I think, you know, most people have come around to. But in the early days of the third gens, one, and this I know for a fact, Chrysler said that the cam bearings were unserviceable. And they are kindly a pain. They're not terrible. Someday in the future, I will show you another one and we'll do the cam bearings. But what I also learned during my research, this is your variable valve timing solenoid. And it mounts right here. This is a new one. But during my research, what I found is all of these little areas, they're screens. And if you can get in close enough, you can kindly see, maybe if we get a little bit of light reflected on it here, you might be able to see it's actually holy. Those are screens.
Oh yeah, I can see it now. Cool.
And the old school thinking that I read is when you have catastrophic failure in these, i.e. bearings, camshaft, the rollers on the lifters, when those go out, and then, you know, the whole story behind the Hemi tick, of course, anytime any kind of metal in any of these motors, in any motor period, if you have catastrophic damage, the oil is going to circulate the metal throughout the motor. It's just the way it is, and it's old. I mean, it's happened forever. Will continue to happen. But not to my knowledge has anyone ever just thrown the hands up and said, "Well, if we have catastrophic bearing failure, we just totally junk the entire engine." That seems a little extreme to me. Now, yeah, when the internal parts exit the building and go out the outside, yes, we got to junk that motor because it's got big barn doors blowed in it. But bearing failure seems a little bit extreme. I think what the difference is, and this is just me talking, is now in these types of engines, especially when it comes to this particular solenoid and another little gadget I'm going to show you in a minute, it's plainly evident that oil has circulated throughout the engine. Okay? So what it says, or what I read, and hopefully it's old school, is when these screens are covered with metal shavings, this entire engine was junk. I don't know. Maybe some people more learned than I can explain that to me. But because this screen picks up metal out of this oil port of oil that is circulating throughout the engine, and we demonstrated that already. So if you get enough oil on these screens to plug them, we've junked the motor. I don't know. Like I said, there was a little bit of debris on this, but we already know that this engine had a catastrophic failure because it had to have cam and lifters put in it. So obviously metal went through the oil. It did. I don't deny that. But I went ahead and put a new VVT, variable valve timing solenoid, on it. Not really because this one had metal in it, but I mean, I'm putting all kinds of other stuff in it, and it was I think a $24 part, and it just didn't seem. I'm keeping this. I'm not saying it's bad because I was able to take brake clean, spray it across these screens, and now there is no metal left on it. So I'll hang on to that. Because right now in Ronnie's Ram Ranch, we've got 3 Rams. 2 of them's got 3rd gen Hemis in them. And the other one, if you'll turn the camera, that yellow one sitting out there, at some point down the road, it's going to have a 3rd gen in it. Hopefully a BGE, but we'll go with a 5.7 if need be, because that white one out yonder that y'all may have seen in the picture, it's got a 5.7 in it. We call her Henrietta. And that is the top running machine right there. 176,000 miles, and it purrs like a kitten. Anyway, on to the more interesting part. Let's see if I can't get a hold of this with something so y'all get my fingers out of the way. Another thing that we're getting ready to do is, I don't want to do this over the motor because I don't want to lose it. This is a debris catcher. It has another name, but this little round ring right here is a magnet. This is just a little plastic fork hanger that holds that magnet, and they go down inside here. I'll try to get some light in here so y'all can see. That is where the MDS, multiple displacement solenoid, lives. It's down in this well. If you look down in this other one, that's where the little magnet catcher lives. Now when this was new to me, learning as we go here, I took out the MDS solenoids, and that's kind of one of the biggest points that I wanted to make right now. I learned from a video, not everything that you find on the channel is valid and accurate. There are people that tend to say things that aren't exactly true, and I try really hard not to tell y'all anything that ain't true or that I don't believe. But that's an old MDS, multiple displacement solenoid. Also has some screens on it. Okay, and they can get a little bit old. But they live down in this well right here. Position something like that. It's got a couple of O-rings that seal it into the different stages. So you got oil in different places, and when it turns on and off, that's what turns the lifters on and off. Well, because it's so hot up here, things tend to swell, contract, whatever else, and kind of get stuck. And like I said, this O-ring lives down in this well, and there's really not much of a lip over top of it, and you don't learn this till after the first time you take it out. So I really could have put me a little bit of lubricant down around that seal, and it probably wouldn't have been too difficult to come out. Now my point is, the video that I watched said that the best way to get these loose is to smack them with a hammer. Okay, you might laugh. Go ahead. If you want to comment, please do. I bought into that business. I made the mistake. Now, I took a rubber mallet, and I didn't hit them very hard. But I ended up costing myself $85 because there's one that's really easy to see. Not maybe it's one that's already in there. But here's what I have come up with. Again, it's just me talking. But I was able to get a hold of this, and you can rock it and wiggle it, and it'll come up. And yes, this is one. This happened after I hit it with the hammer. It is supposed to be lined up like that, square. This little pot metal cap, the edges are just crimped down around these plastic tabs, and it's supposed to be square like that, and that's what happens when you hit it with a hammer. So hopefully let my ignorance and my mistake be your guide to keep you from making that. And $85 is aftermarket Chinese replacement parts. You go to Chrysler and get these, and I don't remember the number, but it's 3 digits and not 2. But see, There's another one.
You hold it in your hand, so
There's
point to
one.
what you're looking at.
Right there. You see how it's close, the metal to the plastic here, but on this side it's wide. That's because this is broke. That is not supposed to sit cockeyed like that. It's supposed to sit square. So save yourself some money and headache. If there ain't nothing wrong with your solenoids, there's absolutely no reason for you to mess them up to where you got to replace a perfectly good part. But again, down below these, and obviously I've had them out, is where these little gadgets live. And what it is they are down in the bottom in the oil stream. So as the oil is flowing past them, which flows across them, they are collecting up any metal debris that might be floating around in your oil. I use paper towel, brake cleaner, very soft bristle paintbrush, but do be careful because these plastic arms here are not indestructible. If you ain't careful, you end up with 3 arms instead of 4, and then you gotta get online and find you a replacement. Fortunately, these are only about $4 a piece. That ain't bad. So what happens is you reach down in that hole with your little pick tool that you make, and you go down in between 2 of these forks, turn it sideways, get it up and underneath there, and you can gently pull it up. You might even make 2 of them. Put one on either side, and then they just slide right out of there. They're not pressed in, they're not permanently mounted, they're not glued. There's just a lip down inside this hole, which is going to be near impossible for y'all to see it, but down at the very bottom, see if I can point to it with light. I don't know, probably not, but anyway, rambling.
Yes.
All right, you just start your magnet and hanger. Come over here. Start it down in the hole. Of course, it's a magnet, so it's going to stick. And then you just gently start guiding it down in there, trying to get it to stand up kind of straight. Why is it always the practice one goes slick and then the other ones they go slow? Pause it. Alright, sorry about that. I promise I try to practice this so I can show you off. But it's a learning experience each and every time. And what I ended up having to do, and in the future I'll have a wooden something, because you try to get your magnet going down in the hole and it's grabbing a hold of metal and going each and every way. So better idea would be to see, wants to jump, is to have a piece of wood that fits down in them forks really slick, and then it'll slide right down in that hole. Can y'all see it down there? Yeah. And it just hangs on that lip down there. And like I said, There, down at the bottom of that, below that lip where that hangs, is where oil flows and travels through there for the multi-displacement system. Put a little bit of oil on the O-rings because we do not want them to bind up on the way down in there. Get that light out of the way. And you can just guide it down. Try to keep them holes lined up. Rotate it just a little bit. There it is. Give it a little bit of wiggle and it'll pop right down into the hole. And then you got one little keeper bolt. Holds it in place. And there you have it. The other three will follow suit. And you just take your time and wipe these lips off just a little bit. It may help if I'd have done that a little bit better. And then your wiring harness will just plug back in like it did before. And it comes out over on this side and goes back into your main wiring harness. Alrighty. I sure do appreciate each and every one of you. I thank you for visiting Hillbilly Garage. Please start, throw some comments in there, even if it's just to say, hey, you like it or you don't like it. We sure like to know because, we're having a lot of fun doing this and hopefully it's going to be fun for y'all too. So, y'all have a great day. We'll see you. Bye.